Mr. Speaker, I yield 1 minute to the gentlewoman from Indiana, Ms. Spartz.
Gentlewoman from Indiana is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I want to clarify what exactly this bill is doing. Last year, Congress gave an additional $80 billion to the IRS on top of $12 billion of existing funding, which increased the IRS budget by almost 8 times. This bill still keeps almost $10 billion in additional funding to modernize IRS, which is still almost doubling their $12 billion budget, but eliminates over $70 billion of wasteful and egregious aggression against the American taxpayer by the federal government. As someone who spent over a decade in public accounting and also started my own businesses, I never felt that we don't have enough government. On the contrary, I hear the same message when I go all across my district. Small businesses and entrepreneurs have a hard time surviving. I hope my Democrat colleagues will also support this common sense adjustment to relieve the undue burden on American families. I yield back.
Gentleman reserves. Gentleman from Massachusetts.
Mr. Speaker, I yield 3 minutes to the gentlelady from the great state of Indiana, Ms. Spartz.
The gentlelady is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to comment on this resolution. Our country was founded on the principle of protection rights of minority, and it is a constitutional republic for a reason, because our founding fathers understood that majority rule can lead to tyranny of majority, mob rule, and dictatorship. Last Congress, Speaker Pelosi and Democrat majority took unprecedented actions, removing minority party from committees members. They also eliminated resolution of inquiry, which were used against Republican administration, and also eliminated the ability for minority party. It was very disappointed. So what I ask, I want to differentiate this resolution, Speaker McCarthy, and he added explicitly to this resolution to make sure that we apply the same standard not just to Democrats, but also to Republicans, and it's actually stated in this resolution, and also added that, we might look at the process of appeal. And I agree with gentlelady from Pennsylvania that we didn't have any due process because it was unprecedented. What done was by her party, so maybe Ethics Committee at least have an ability to look if there is a way to look at the process, if that's going to be continued. But I hope maybe we can reconcile it and have a better collaboration as two parties, as we were talking today at the praise breakfast on the bipartisan basis. But I think it's important for us to really look at us as a body and start respecting minority. And unfortunately, the other party started this unprecedented action when they won the majority. And we have to work on that, how we can reconcile. I yield back.
The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Indiana, Ms. Spartz, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to highlight an ongoing problem with our institution, which starts reminding a theater full of actors, a circus, and dog and pony show with a lot of messaging, grandstanding, demagoguery, talking points, but no real results badly needed for the American people. When Benjamin Franklin was leaving the Constitutional Convention in 1787 and was asked what kind of government the delegates had created, he replied, "A republic, if you can keep it." It's been over 200 years since that time, but do we really appreciate what it means to have a constitutional republic, the rule of law, presumption of innocence, and proper due process? As someone who grew up under dictatorship in the Soviet Union, I cherish these freedoms tremendously and understand how hard it is to get them back when you lose them, and how many people have died for them. Therefore, regardless of politics, I will vigorously defend our Constitution and our rights for all Americans. Congress is not a kangaroo court and has proper committees like ethics or judiciary to provide proper due processes to all all individuals, whether it's President Trump and Representative Green, or President Biden or Representative Omar. I adamantly argued for last Congress as a member of the Judiciary Committee to provide these due processes. So I am not planning to become a hypocrite now and lose this credibility. We have to become adults in the room and stop this bread and circuses in Congress. No one is above the law, but no one is below the law. I yield back.
1 minute.
Gentlewoman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to urge my Democrat colleagues to unite with Republicans and put pressure on the Senate to have an adult conversation about our debt and spending. We collected $4 trillion last year. Our mandatory spending is $4 trillion, automatic spending, and from around $2 trillion of discretionary spending, 80% is unauthorized. So it means that 90% of spending is not even considered by this institution. We have programs like Medicare is going bankrupt, and we have bipartisan issues supported by Trump and Obama could save billions of dollars for the seniors to save Medicare, like site-neutral payments, overbilling by Medicare. It's a fraudulent overbilling, dishonest billing that's supported by broad groups of think tanks. We have to save these programs for people that we promise, and we need to have the backbone in Washington, D.C. to stand up for we the people and challenge special interest groups. I urge you to be with us on this issue, and I yield back.
From Pennsylvania.
Purpose does the gentlewoman from Indiana seek recognition? Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the life and service of Noah Jacob Shanavas, an Indiana police officer who was killed in the line of duty last year. Noah would have turned 25 today. Noah was born in Indianapolis to Matt and Lori Shanavas. After graduating from Fishers High School, he enlisted in the Army, where he served as a sergeant and was awarded the Distinguished Air Assault Badge. He was deployed to the Middle East and 2 border missions. Following his honorable discharge, Noah answered the call to service once again and joined the Elwood Police Department in August of 2021. On behalf of Indiana 5th Congressional District and our nation, I share my deepest appreciation and gratitude for Noah's service to our republic. Mr. Speaker, I would like to ask for a moment of silence to remember Noah and heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. You will not be forgotten. I yield back. Speaker, I rise today to express my grave concern with the fiscal state of our nation. As someone who spent over a decade in finance and accounting profession, we're going to be voting on the Fiscal Responsibility Act today, and one side will say how great it is, and the other side will say how awful it is. But really it's meaningless considering the immense gravity of our fiscal problems. As Michelangelo once said, the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but it is too low and we reach it. Unfortunately, this Congress is not setting this aim high enough for all of the peoples that died for our republic and for future generations. I hope we'll have a backbone to do it someday. I yield back.
For what purpose does the gentleman?
I have to say there are some things I agree with my colleagues on the Republican side, and actually it's good to have healthy dialogue and discussion. We're a free institution here. I actually agree that we need to defend our borders too. I actually agree that we need to have better oversight and go to better security assistance and not some other things too. I actually agree with them that we need to have, the fiscal issues resolved with Department of Defense and offered amendments. But I disagree that Ukraine is not in national interest. Stopping this war and deterring aggressors like China and Russia, it is in our national interest. Many Americans were killed by Russian-made weapons around the world, and we need to learn from mistakes of World War II that weaknesses invite aggressions. And I truly believe this administration didn't do as good of a job deterring it, but now we need to help Ukraine, and we need to understand that, there are a lot of lives are going to be lost for Ukrainians, but we need to make sure that we don't have never-ending war and and better and faster security assistance will be help to restore peace. I yield back.